Okay. First things first, and last things last. You will need some note-taking materials. Today is cognitive fitness, so outside of mental math, there will be things that you will need to participate in. Let me get on live too. Because I need to type some things in as well. Okay. Go ahead on your own and inhale and exhale 3 deep cleansing breaths to let the mind get clear. Allow the amygdala to know that we are learning and it's okay to learn and grow and develop. On your own, 3. Good morning, Lola. 3. Inhale and exhales. We'll inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale in that fashion. On your own, let's clear our minds. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, Dr. Donna Louise Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. We are doing cognitive fitness today, so bring your thinking caps with you. Good morning, Regina. Okay. Make sure you have your water. Your brain is 75% water, agua, vasa. And as a result, you need to hydrate your amazing brain. First up on the scene, we are going to be doing word scrambles. So today, because it is Fitness Friday, we have a myriad of tasks that we are going to perform. And they are word scramble, mental math, fill in the blank, words that rhyme, anagrams, as well as story problems. So get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Okay. Anagrams and word scrambles. What is the cognitive process? I'm glad you asked. It is visual manipulation, working memory, and language reorganization. The brain regions that we are working with this morning are the left inferior frontal gyrus, the Broca's area. Normally, I will point to it on my shirt, but I have a different brain shirt on today. So that's your word formation and your syntax. You're also going to be enacting the left angular gyrus, which is your semantic associations. And then I need to put my glasses on. Okay. Next is your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. That's where your working memory resides and reordering the letters. And then finally, the right hemisphere for creativity and spatial pattern recognition. So today's word scramble is this. And today I am using 3 different devices. Well, not 3 different devices. I have 3 different things that I'm in. So I'm going to type in the word and the letters, and then you're going to have 30 seconds to tell me what this word scramble is. So the word is appearing now, and you have 30 seconds to get that bad boy done, starting now. What is the word? The LLOR. Y'all got it? And it took you 10 seconds. And that's it. And for those of you who are participating, you have about 13 seconds. All right. And we are on a roll. And while we have looker, likers, and listeners, we also have active participation people who are actually using their brain. Okay, let me stop. Let me reset. Get out of the clock and go back into Gmail. Nope, not Google. Okay, next on the list is we have mental math. Yay, mental math. Mental math means that you do not use any devices to help you, but your amazing brain. You got all your computations going on up and through here neurologically. Your mental math, the cognitive processes that you will have numeric calculations, pattern recognition, and your working memory. And the brain regions, let me just do that. And the brain regions that you will be using are your interparietal sulcus, your IPS, and that's for numerical magnitude processing, your left angular gyrus, which is for arithmetic fact retrieval, your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, that's for problem solving. Again, you'll be enacting your working memory. And this is bilateral activation, but left more for the calculations. All right, I am back. And so the first mental math for you is, give me 1 second. I'm going to try something today. Hold up. Here we go. And let's see how this goes. 19. All right, so I'm getting ready to post the mental math problem, and you will have 30 seconds to do it. We're trying something different today. Good morning, Mr. Plummer. I am in the middle of cognitive fitness. And please help me understand in the group, as I already said what we will be doing this morning. There's a picture of a brain for cognitive fitness up here. And you are saying, quick question, do progression. It's a form of ADHD. I'm just trying to understand what your objective is this morning. Because my objective, as always, is to teach adults how to understand the functionality of the brain and use that functionality based upon the 74 principles of real leadership and a theory of personal accountability to access their best. So I'd like to understand, while I said I'm using 3 different things in the middle of teaching, that you've decided that I need to stop what I'm doing and answer your question. Help the group understand, if you're still here. It's not a program, but that would serve you best. That would serve you best. There are times when I say, what questions do you have? But unlike other people, I actually have an agenda every morning at 5:30 a.m. I didn't just press the live button because I want to feel validated and recognized by people on the internet. I'm the baddest motherfucker walking the face of the planet Earth. I need no validation or seal of approval from another human being. I do have an objective. There are 6.8 billion unaccountable adults in the world who don't know how to use their brain because it didn't come with an owner's manual. And neuroscientists and psychiatrists have decided to focus on the diseased brain instead of a healthy, high functioning brain. So I am here to teach adults how to become bad motherfuckers too. How the brain functions, what part of the brain you're using to make decisions day in and day out to become your best. That's what my mission is. That's what my personal legend is this morning. So I focus on best. I focus on everything that you can do to maximize your 860 trillion synaptic connections. How do you capitalize off of that? That's what I focus on day in and day out. I don't have t-shirts. I don't have merch. I don't have shit to sell. I simply have words to tell. So I'm going to get back to my lesson. We're doing mental math, and I am conducting an experiment this morning. I'm going to, as Nola said, when she can see it, is different than if I just say it. So I'm going to type in the mental math problems, and then you will have 30 seconds to solve those mental math problems. The first one will be appearing on your screen momentarily. And that is it, and you have 30 seconds to solve that mental math problem. Ten seconds have passed. "22 seconds has passed. Time. That is correct. The answer is 26. Let me type in the next problem. You have 30 seconds to solve this problem. Ten seconds has passed. "20 seconds has passed. And time. Very good. The answer is -10. And the final mental math for this segment is coming up at you momentarily. 30 seconds on the clock starting now. Ten seconds has passed. "20 seconds has passed. And 30 seconds. And that is correct. The answer is 770. Hold up, let me do this again, switching back and forth in between screens. Okay, the next is that you are going to be filling in the blanks. And filling in the blanks, the cognitive process for this is contextual prediction, synaptic processing, and memory recall. You're going to be using the left Broca's area, which is for grammar and sentence structure, the Vernix area for comprehension, the anterior cingulate cortex for error monitoring, and the left hemisphere, as we know that the language and everything from the brain is in the left hemisphere. So this particular task is a left hemisphere domination. All right, so I am going to type in, fill in the blank, and then from there, you will have 30 seconds to think, and then 30 seconds to write. So you're going to get a whole minute because you have to type it in. Nope. So you have 1 minute starting now to fill in the blank. 20 seconds has passed. Thirty seconds. 40 seconds. 50 seconds. And time. Okay. What we have here is Kevin has said, most of the time I sleep in late. However, today I will awaken early. Dallas said, walk and run. Nobody, most of the time I procrastinate. However, today I will not. Procrastination is the enemy. Do it now is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, just so you know. Feel free to go to the live portion, the 74 Principles of Real Leadership tab, and you will see a live talking about procrastination is the enemy. And in fact, it's also we've recently talked about it as well. Lola, I talk but be quiet. Lola said, am tired, dig deep to get work done. And then Regina said, most of the time I interact with my mother and sister. However, today I will wash clothes and pack to prepare to fly to Orlando. Okay, next up on the scene is rhyming words. And I can't wait to see what my amazing offspring is going to do today with this. Rhyming words. Cognitive process. So it is phonological processing, auditory memory, and sound pattern matching. You are going to be using your left superior temporal gyrus, the pharynx area, for sound recognition. You will also be using your Broca's area because of the articulation and phonological processing. You're going to be using your right hemisphere for prodigy and musicality. So that A, B, C, D, E, the rhyming part of that. So, and then the interhemispheric cooperation, both hemispheres for sound and rhythm. Getting ready to have a total brain workout. And we have 2 sets of rhyming words today. And the word for today, and give me a second, you're going to have 1 minute to come up with as many rhyming words with this word as possible. And the word for today is, the first rhyming word for today is orange. O-R-A-N-G-E, orange. And let me type that in for you as well, just so that you can see it in living color. Haha. Okay, orange. And time starts now. 1 minute on the clock. How many words can you create that rhyme with orange? I have already done these because I have a point. So I did this ahead of time today. But I will participate in the second words that rhyme with. 20 seconds has passed. $40 seconds has passed, so if you want to start typing them up to ensure they pop up. 50 seconds has passed. And you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. What do you have? Reset. Stop and reset. Okay, so Regina has porridge. Dallas has flange. I think that's flange. Regina has storage and mortgage. Are there any other taker owners of the word orange? And if you don't have it, just, I got nothing, Dr. Donna, because it stopped popping up on my screen. I got nothing. Okay, I got nothing. They didn't write. Yeah, if you type something nobody, then nobody, I didn't see it. So years ago, hard word to rhyme with. Years ago, they used to say there's no word that rhymes with orange in the English language. That's what they say, yes, but there's nothing that rhymes with orange. So the two words, and I used this on a previous TikTok live, storage. Yes. So here is what happens. The two words that have the closest proximity are these two that I'm about to say. So I'm going to say the ones that showed up. So orange doesn't really have a word that matches perfectly. So here are the ones based upon Google. Porridge, warrant, the ones that Regina said, warrant, college, expunge, knowledge, lunge, lozenge, I don't know how, plunge, storage, fringe, grunge, sponge, hinge, syringe, foreign, and down door hinge. Doesn't really sound like a proper rhyme. So I did this to you all on purpose because I love y'all so much. So I told you what the brain should be doing, and the brain said, bullshit, orange. And both the bilateral, both hemispheres was like, orange? Orange? The fuck? Orange? Nah, ain't nothing to rhyme with orange. And that's why your brain, you got nothing. You're sitting there, and I gave you a whole minute. Now you're going to see the difference when we get down to number 8, when I give you a different word. The brain, the connectivity is there. So it showed you that the synaptic connections for a word that we were told doesn't have a word that rhymes in English correctly, kind of does, but kind of doesn't. And so the two words that actually match the most that I discovered last fall are these: blorange, and let me type them up for you so that you can see them. And hopefully autocorrect. Let me make sure this motherfucker don't. It did it. It turned it into something else. Give me a second, because it don't even like it. Everybody discriminating against orange. So here is, hopefully it came through. Yes. So the two words that have the closest match are blorange and sporange. And so a blorange is a prominent hill which overlooks the valley of the river Usk in Monmouthshire, southwest Wales. So that is a hill. And then sporange is a botanical term referring to a spore case, specifically a structure in plants, particularly in ferns, where asexual spores are produced. So those are the two most closely matching words to those words. Didn't even know those words, right? So now what can happen is you can amaze all of your friends as the weekend is coming, and you can do this as a different activity instead of talking about doom scrolling and all the awful things that are happening in the world, and you all can have a different neuropathic or a different brain experience than that same negativity bias and cognitive hijacking from the amygdala, the right amygdala in particular. You can have a whole nother totally different experience because that's what you're experiencing. So before we go to our anagram word scramble, how does your brain feel now? So if you can say how your brain felt before when you got to orange and you sat there for a minute going orange, 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 and now you have close matches and then two matches that match from words that you potentially may not have been aware of. So how does your brain feel? Do like a before and after assessment. So you're going to go in your default mode network, that's self-reflection, and see what happened to your brain. And remember, if you're thinking ... do a brain, do a emoji or something so that I know that you are thinking and preparing to respond. Otherwise, I'm just looking at myself on two different screens with a 5 to 7 second delay on my tablet. So, Regina, what I'm asking is, how did your brain feel when I said rhyming words with orange? And now that you know that there is blorange and sporange, and then some sub almost matches to the word orange, how does your brain feel now? Knowing that, because for you, you had some answers, but for others, it was, I don't want to say what it was for you, but before and after. You got orange and went. And then you found out that there are two, and that your brain was like, sound wise, how can that happen? So the phonological processing and the sound recognition, it opened up, felt challenged, able to learn something new. And that's the whole point. So see, now you can go to sleep, Lola, because as Charlie Munger said, I said Carl, but it's Charlie. Charlie Munger said, go to sleep wiser than when you woke up. Okay, Regina. All right. So next on the scene, Kevin, how could one word make you rethink your whole your whole educational life? The South Carolina school system has not done their job with you, Mr. Hook, huh? And I know DPS, Detroit Public School Systems, ain't do their job. And I went to a CTA high school. I got 3 damn degrees. Everybody failed me on this one. Why was I just not finding this out in October of 2024? What the hell? Nah. Okay, next up on the scene is, because I love y'all so much, we're going to do a combo. We're going to do a duo. Act like you at a fast food restaurant. And they say, would you like to make that a combo? Absolutely, Dr. Donna. So this morning, you have an anagram word scramble, because you all are geniuses. And now we've opened up your brain. Yes, you are going to do an anagram word scramble. Let the church say amen. Let everybody say, woo, we love you, Dr. Donna, for this. So as a friendly reminder, anagrams and word scrambles, they're visual manipulations, working memory, and language reorganization. And the brain regions that you're going to be using are the left inferior frontal gyrus, that Broca's area, word formation and syntax. You're going to be using the left angular gyrus for semantic associations, and then the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex for your working memory, reordering those letters, and then for the right hemisphere for creativity and spatial pattern recognition. I before E except after C, E before I except after Y. That's what you're getting ready to do. But have no fear, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Donna is here. So I am not going to abandon you totally and tell you just the letters. I will type these letters in. And so remember, this is a word scramble anagram. That means that after you unscramble it, you should have 2 words and they are anagrams, which means that you can take the letters and reorder them and they make another word. So here are the letters. And give me a second, because my tablet will tell me that that ain't a word. Okay. Here we go. And you have 1 minute, 1 Minuten, to get this party started, starting now. 1 minute. So it's a word scramble anagram. Thank me later. I will check my... "30 seconds." So you should have the 1 word and then you should have 2 words. So it should be unscrambled and an anagram. "50 seconds. And that's it. Time's up. All right. Stop the clock, Doc. Stop the clock, Doc. I like that. Haha. Okay. So before I reveal the answers, how does your brain feel? How does your brain feel having to do, and remember, working memory is you could do up to 4 to 7 things simultaneously. So that's why telephone numbers used to be 7. You can hold up to 7 concepts at the same time in your brain. Then they added the area code and fucked everybody up. However, 4 to 7 things. So your job was to take letters and then turn them into words, and then secondarily make them anagrams. Make it an anagram. How does your brain feel? Do-da, do-da. I find it interesting that the mathematicians were just totally in when we were doing mental math, and now they have exited the site. They say, "Oh, you're doing that bilateral right brain shit." I'm out. Like Waffle House eggs, scramble. Please make sure that you put some Frank Red Hot on those scrambled eggs. You're back, Regina. You missed it. We did a anagram word scramble, and so the answer is night and thing. Night and thing. No ignite because there's no E. So thing and night. Okay, now we are about to make an acronym. And the acronym is the cognitive process is compression of concepts and memory chunking. The brain regions that you will be using are the left temporal lobe, where it stores words, meanings, the hippocampus, where you have consolidated long-term memory, your prefrontal cortex for the executive function for meaning creation, and this is a left hemisphere dominance activity. And the word that you are going to do to make an acronym, and so I will be participating, notice my post-it note is empty, is that the word is, let me type it in so we all have it, and then we're going to get 1 minute. You gonna let me do this? Okay, 1 minute, and you are making an acronym of this word. And we have 1 minute on the clock starting now. And you have 30 seconds. Well, now, I apologize. It's 30 seconds now. Filll. Making it an acronym. And you have 18 seconds. Yes, Filll. Making the word Filll an acronym. Have 8 seconds to make it an acronym. And time. And let me type mine in. Okay. It was Filll, so I typed it in, F-I-L-L. You thought we were doing empty. So Filll, I typed it in. Okay. Regina said, fun is living life. Kevin, it's Filll. Go ahead and type yours up. Lola, it's F-I-L-L. So I typed it in, Filll, F-I-L-L. And I have finishing it learns, and I typed it in I don't have my glasses on because of the light, but let me retract it and take that out and put it back in. Okay. Okay. Jessica said fun in living life. That's fun in living. In life, living. And did I say empty? Because I typed in Filll. Did I say empty? Because I typed in the word Filll in the thing. If I say empty, I apologize, but I typed in empty in the chat. I mean, Filll in the chat. Now I'm saying empty. So Filll, F-I-L-L. So Kevin and Nola and Lola, what you got? What do you have? And it's now, I now filled in my Filll on my post-it note. Ouch. You typed yours in, Nola? It didn't show up, Nola. If you could type it again, I didn't get it. Okay. So we're going to charge that to my perimenopause. First, it looked lost. Got it, Kevin. We're gonna charge that to my perimenopause. So it's a good thing I typed it in. And I will reiterate it going forward that I actually typed it in. Yes, Jessica, you and Regina had similar responses. And then Nola, if you could just retype it because it didn't pop up. Okay. Next, we will be moving on to story problems, which I loved as a child, especially struggling with reading. I thought every day that we did story problems, that was just like the best day ever. For industry, law, and lore. Okay, that's probably why it didn't show up. Got it. Okay, we're moving on to math story problems. This is number 7. We have 10 activities total for today. Fill, infill, yes. So acronym takes the letters of the word and turns it into another word. So like I've always said, supply chain optimization at Frito-Lay could mean supply chain optimization, or it could mean sour cream and onion. In the Army, AAR is an after action review. So it's an acronym for a different meaning. And the reason why you do that, as I said before, is what it helps with the brain. So it's going to store meanings of words. You're going to use the executive function for creation, and it's going to consolidate long-term meaning. So you're strengthening those areas of the brain. Next, we have math story problems. My favorite as a child growing up. I loved them. Okay, a cognitive process. So it's the integration of language, logic, and numerical reasoning. So that's why even the people who are grand in English and reading don't do well with story problems, and the people who are great in math, like myself, don't do well because of the language and logic process. So it's interesting. There's a small group of people who actually enjoy story problems because of the language, the logic, and the numerical reasoning. The brain regions that you will be enacting for this activity are your left inferior frontal gyrus for the language comprehension. For then you're going to be using the intraparietal sulcus for the quantity and math. Then you're going to be using your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex for the reasoning and the integration. Then you're going to be using your posterior parietal cortex. So that's for the spatial and the logic structure. And this is a bilateral activity. So you're going to activate both the left and the right hemisphere. And I'm going to read this to you because typing it would just take too much time. So listen carefully, and then you will have 30 seconds. I'm going to give you a minute because of what it is. Then you will have 1 minute. You know what? Y'all can wait. I'm going to type it up. Uno momento, so that you can read it and use the process, as Nola mentioned, of being able to lock it out. So y'all just listen to the elevator music amongst yourself. I actually can't play music on the live because that'll violate community guidelines. I don't have the approval to do that. Oh shit, hold up. This is why. All right, remove. Let's try this again. I know what I can do going forward. What I'm going to do going forward is actually type it up and then have it ready to go so I can just put it in as a copy and paste from my clipboard. So I will do that going forward. Hopefully this can go in there. I just realized that. Okay. Okay, there is your math problem, your story problem. You have 1 minute to solve that math problem, starting now. A parking garage has 14 levels. Each level has 62 parking spaces. How many parking spaces are there in total? My background is noisy this morning. All right, 30 seconds has passed, and you have 30 more seconds left, or 25 seconds left now. Fourteen seconds left. Okay. All right, and the answer is 868. So you multiply 14 levels times 62 parking spaces, and you get 868. All righty. Let's get this clock out of the way. We are now going back to words that rhyme, and as a reminder, what you're going to be doing in this instance is number 4 was words that rhyme with orange. I'm going to give you a new word, and you're going to be able, after you complete both of these, you'll be able to compare. Yes, Regina, you'll be able to compare the difference between the two. So rhyming words, they're phonological processing for auditory memory and sound pattern matching. The brain regions that you're going to be activating are the left superior temporal gyrus, the pharynx area for sound recognition, the Broca's area for articulation and phonological processing, the right hemisphere for prosody and musicality, and then the interhemispheric cooperations, both hemisphere for sound and rhythm. Now, the word that you will be using, as we can see, my post-it is empty for this one. Here is the word. I'm going to type it in, and then you will have 1 minute to write down as many words as possible for this word. And the word is parts. Parts is the word. You have 60 seconds to type in as many words that rhyme with parts. "32 seconds has passed. "47 seconds has passed. And 3, 2, 1, time. What do you have? Okay. Lola has tarts. Jessica has hearts, carts, farts, and tarts. The Hobble has carts, arts, starts, tarts, smarts, farts, darts. Regina has hearts, smarts, darts, tarts, barts, carts, farts. Nola has arts, farts, sparks, darts, larks, parks, marsh, and marks. And Kevin has starts, hearts, carts, pass gas, farts, tarts, and darts. And I have hearts, carts, darts, arts, aardvarks, larks, and remarks, and narks. Yes. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what is the difference between, was the last one, narks? Yes, ma'am. What is the difference between number 4 with orange and then number 8 with parts? More words that rhyme. It felt fluid. Is the spelling. I'm not quite sure I understand what you're saying, Lola. You're saying that because of the spelling, so that you can match it more, the phonologicalness of it, the syntax. Both. And that's my post-it of the words that rhyme. Yes. So the familiarity. Parts was easier to process, and by going through the alphabet, it was easier to substitute the first letters and make a connection to make it connect to parts. Yes, ma'am. The other thing that you know is because you had a familiarity with it, the hippocampus was able to recall, because remember, that's part of what you're using from a memory perspective. And those other areas. Feel like kindergarten was well worth it. Yes. So the rest of the school system failed you, but kindergarten in first grade said, no, we got you. We got you. Don't worry. Hold up. We can do this. 5 letters. Oh yeah, we got this. We not new to this. We true to this. Actually 6 letters. No, 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5 letters. Kindergarten is done well, is the place to be. Yes, it is. So the point is that the lesson that you can extrapolate from this is that when you are already predisposed to something, you can access it better. When you are unfamiliar with it, there's a little bit of hijacking of the amygdala going on. Like, hold up, wait a minute, orange? Don't shit rhyme with orange? What the hell is this? And then some cortisol can start creeping up into your prefrontal cortex and create brain fog and say, yeah. Then that left amygdala shows up and says, I told you, dumbass, you couldn't spell, Dr. Donna. Why you over here trying to do something? One moment. So now you over here questioning, as Kevin said, your whole other 12 years that you going to school. Like, the school system failed me. Why I don't know nothing, and I have 3 degrees. But what happens is when you have a working memory, when you challenge yourself, you're okay with not knowing. And then I gave you perspective. It's one of the hardest words in the English language to rhyme with. I then gave you blorange and sporange and herbal. If you scroll up in the chat, you can see that I typed those 2 words in there, and on your own you can look up. The blorange is a hill which is in South Wales, and sporange is botanical term referring to spore cases. So blorange and sporange are the words. Now you've learned something, and then you felt better. Now you're like, oh, okay, so there is that. So the learning process, what you experienced, is the reason why adults don't learn, because parts was nothing. Type it up, type it up, type it up, type it up. I'm good. I'm a genius. Look at me. Kindergarten on fleek. Still got the photo on my phone with my little hat on, right? And then I say orange. And now you're like, yeah, see, this is stupid. That's why I don't even like rhyming words. Why we doing this elementary shit, orange? Why we got to rhyme some words together? What am I? I'm a civil engineer. I build roads. I don't have time for orange. I'm a genius. Same uses of the brain for parts and orange. Same functionality, same brain regions. But what you have to do is think a little bit more. You got to research a little bit more. Your working memory. Yes, Regina, your working memory has to work harder. And if you are learning and growing and you're open to creating those new neural pathways, you will sit there and say, hey, I ain't got nothing for you, Doc. I'm clueless. Lima, Mike Foxtrot. Look it up. That's a military acronym. And now you have both. You have both. That's what you have. Okay. So the horrible wait to the end for questions, because I'm in the middle of a thought and I'm perimenopausal, and that will distract me because you talk about something that I'm not talking about right now. So that's the whole point, ladies and gentlemen. You had a familiarity. So when you are learning something new, go back to what you know, just to give yourself like, hey, man, this is the part I already know. And then fail miserably at what you don't know. There are plenty of words that I mispronounce now that I'm learning neuroscience. And one word that I found out yesterday I was pronouncing incorrectly, as I was saying Pomodoro technique, and it's Pomodoro technique. And that's when you take 10 to 25 minutes to work on a task and then give your brain a break. 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 25 minutes of a task and take a break. And I was actually watching an older gentleman, African American, who teaches medical students how to study for their exams. He showed up on my TikTok page and said it. And I was like, oh, I've been pronouncing it wrong. And I told y'all I have a deficiency in my orthographic processing center located in my occipital lobe, which is why I struggle with reading. Y'all have watched me struggle with those words on purpose so that you will become accustomed to making mistakes before you actually go from novice to expert. You're seeing that in real time. So it's okay that you didn't know that there were two words that rhyme with orange, and it's one of the hardest words to rhyme with, and there are no real perfect matches because that's just the way that word was designed. And I learned this way back in October. So you don't have to feel bad because you didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. But when you do know better, then you can do better and you can learn better. So now you have these synaptic connections. When the neurons are firing, when they fire, they start to wire. And the repetition of keep doing rhyming words. That's why cognitive fitness has been inculcated in the lives, so that all these different brain regions are being strengthened simultaneously with 10 simple exercises. So that's what's taking place. We're going to do mental math. I'm going to just reiterate what the mental math is. There are 3 mental math problems. So the cognitive process is that there's numeric calculation, pattern recognition, and working memory. That's what you use for your mental math. That's the process. And here are the regions of the brain involved. You have the interparietal sulcus, the IPS, and that's for your numerical magnitude processing. You have the left angular gyrus, which is arithmetic fact retrieval. You have the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex for problem solving and working memory. And then you have the bilateral, activation, but it's more left for more calculations. And so you are going to get less time for these. And because they are simple, I'm not going to type them up. I will be timing you. And so you are going to get 25 seconds per problem. I don't think that you will need them, but let's see. I'm in the calculator instead of the clock. Here we go. So the first mental math problem of the second set for today is this. You have 25 seconds to solve this one. 27 times 9, 27 times 9, 25 seconds on the clock. 27 times 9. Ten seconds has passed. Mental math, 27 times 9. Twenty seconds has passed. Oh, we're done. Sorry, I thought I gave y'all 30. Okay, so what are your responses? Kevin and Lola have 243, and that is correct. Okay. Next mental math. 30, you have 25 seconds. 36 minus 57 is 243, Nola. 243. The next math problem is 36 minus 57. 36 minus 57. 25 seconds on the clock starting now. 36 minus 57. Fifteen seconds. 20 seconds. And time. Okay. Minus 21 is the correct answer. Yes. And then the final mental math for today is, and you will have 25 seconds for this as well, 116 divided by 4. Excuse me, 116 divided by 4 starting now. 25 seconds on the clock. 116 divided by 4. 10 seconds is passed. Twenty seconds has passed. And time. Okay. Yes, Kevin, you are correct. Lola, you are correct. All right. The answer is 29. We have one last activity for today, and it is a fill in the blank. And again, the cognitive process for fill in the blanks is 29, Nola. Contextual prediction, syntactic processing, and memory recall. And the brain regions that are involved are the left Broca's area, and that's for grammar and sentence structure, the Wernicke's area for comprehension, the ACC for error monitoring, and then the left hemisphere is dominant for it. So let me go ahead and type this up. You will have 1 minute to fill this in. Let me go ahead and put my glasses on so I can see this keyboard. Okay. The sentence that you will be completing is filling in the blanks. Whenever I blank, I know that I have blanked. And you have 1 minute on the clock to get that done. Starting now. Whenever I blank, I know that I have blank. Ten seconds has passed. Pray faith. Whenever I pray, I know that I have faith. 45 seconds. 55 seconds. And 1 minute. Okay. Nola said, whenever I pray, I know that I have faith. Jessica said, whenever I cry, I know that I have release. Kevin said, whenever I win, I know that I have won. Lola said, whenever I try, I know that I have succeeded. And Nola, whenever I cook, I know that I have food. It's coming from about the math. Oh, no, you said, I don't know how you were supposed to do some of these problems mentally. Yes, ma'am. I did see that. Yes, I saw that. Yeah, you're supposed to do them in your brain, strengthening your mind. That's how. And we can have that discussion on the way to our appointment. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, kudos. Give yourself a round of applause for making it through your cognitive fitness. Go ahead and hydrate. Give your brain some water, agua, vasa, because you have worked your brain completely out. You have tapped in to all of those different regions. So let's look at it again. Look at all of that. All that firing, that neuropathic synaptic connections. You did all of that this morning. So definitely look at all of the different regions of the brain that you worked out this morning, because you are a bad mofo in training. All right, I am back. Coming around third, we got today's brain bit, and it is about lying. Lying. You will lie and the truth ain't in you. Here's what's taking place neurologically when you lie. When you lie for personal gain, your amygdala produces a negative feeling that limits the extent to which you are prepared to lie. Wow. You are over. What did you say, Jessica? Wow. So this is what kids do in school daily, if they got the right teacher. That's what they're supposed to be doing in school. And now you can understand why it's unfair as an adult. You do all of this in school, then you graduate from high school or college, and then you get in the workforce, and then you don't use none of this shit no more. That's why everybody like, all that shit I learned in school, we ain't doing none of this on the job. You're supposed to. The job is supposed to still have you doing all of this and more, and it's not happening. The math ain't mathing. The reading, writing, and arithmetic ain't reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now you're dealing with office politics and all kind of nonsense and bullshit. And then they want to know why the workforce is unfulfilled and unrewarding. And then they give you rewards and recognition. And now you are literally eating pizza. For what? Now you're just like, well, then it just shifts the money. Well, we just paying you. We paying you. We paying you. And your brain is like, but this is unfulfilling, unrewarding work. It's unfulfilling and unrewarding. I want to be mentally stimulated. So then what you do is you work really hard to get promotions and make more money and buy more shit. And you're sitting in the house and now you got all your stuff, and that's stuffification because you're suffocating from all your stuff. And you trying to figure out why you ain't fulfilled. So you just buy more, get promoted, more money, more money, more money, more money. And your brain is atrophying by the nanosecond. That's what's actually taking place. So you have all this, I'm going to be this when I grow up, I want to be this when I grow up. And if you look back at those pictures when you're in school, you're like, man, I miss those days in school. But what you miss is the brain stimulation. What you miss is the learning and the challenging yourself. And so you keep thinking you could go work at it and buy it and live in it and drive it, but it's up here. And the brain, and it's a quick dopamine boost, but it's not long lasting. And what we learned the other day is when you set and you go above and beyond, you get this nice little stream, this sustained stream of dopamine every time you go above and beyond. So you can stay exactly where you are and grow into this magnificent being without taking a trip to the car dealership, the mall, or anywhere else unnecessarily. Kevin said, Nola, trust me, your comment about the math is powerful. You just gained a lot of respect for me. I'll tell you later. Okay? Got it, Kevin. Thanks. All right. So, wow. Okay. So here is the lying. When you lie for personal gain, your amygdala produces a negative feeling that limits the extent to which you are prepared to lie. So you start lying and the amygdala says, stop doing that. You lying. Don't lie. What the hell? That ain't the truth. But guess what happens? However, this response fades as you continue to lie, and the more it fails, the bigger your lies become. The bigger so it's warning you. It's like, you ain't telling the truth. Shut the fuck up. You lie for personal gain, and then you keep lying and keep lying and keep lying. And guess what happens? This may lead to a slippery slope where small acts of dishonesty escalate into more significant lies. because your filter to stop you from lying ain't filtering no more. You're warning the amygdala that's saying, why the fuck you lying? That ain't true. Why you lie about that? That's where these small little white lies show up. And the next thing you know, you got these pathological liars. Why? Because the filter, the neurological filter to say don't lie ain't there no more. That the guardrails are off. The lying guardrails are gone. And now you are on a lifelong lying spree. And that's how it's happening. So if you're wondering how anybody could sit down day in and day out and lies, because when they told their first lie and heard that warning, they didn't heed it. They didn't stop. And so they said, I like this. I like lying about who I am. I look good. People believe me. Oh, did y'all believe me? Oh, y'all said I told y'all I was the shit and y'all believe me? Ooh, well, let me double down on I'm the shit. I told y'all that I have all this money, this ill-gotten gains. I'm going to just tell y'all I got it a different way. I'm going to just tell y'all the mobs helped Berry Gordy start Motown Records. Don't ever get it twisted, okay? Yes, it turned into something grand, but most people, especially back in the day, everybody talks about the Kennedys, but they were moonshiners, okay? That's where that money came from. Okay, ill-gotten gains they turned that money into legit money. But oh, my father and my grandfather, I came over on the ha, and no, I got a angel investor. Yeah, you got an angel investor that was selling packets on the street, destroying communities. And so that lie gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that warning from the amygdala gets small and gets quiet. It's like, hey, why you lying? Stop lying. Hey, why you stop lying? Stop lying. And then you can't hear it anymore. And that gain makes you feel good because you got that dopamine boost. So that's why you can't tell the truth. That's why when you try to hold somebody personally accountable, they won't be personally accountable because they have lied to get to where they are. They have lied to themselves and said, this is who I am. And if you tell a lie long enough, you can believe it. Your brain will believe that it is true, even if it ain't. When someone lies to me, I feel like they are calling me stupid. It's not even about you, though. You think it's about you, but they're lying to themselves because it's for personal gain. So if you can now understand why someone consistently lies again and again and again and again, it's because the amygdala has no warning to say, stop doing that. 47 does great. There's no filter. And now it's just like, I have nothing stopping me to make me tell the truth. And so when you hold people personally accountable, you gotta put a mirror up to them and say, this is the truth. And they go, no, that's not the truth. This is the truth. Why are you holding that thing in front of me? I do not see what you are saying. I do not see. I see an amazing person. I see this grand, awesome person that I am. So when you lie, you feel bad initially. So you don't do it, or you keep doing it, and then you feel great because you don't have the amygdala warning you to stop doing this. All right, so the last 3 questions for you today are these. What did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what did you learn about your brain? What did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what did you learn about your brain? And you might want to explore that, Jessica, as to why you feel like they're calling you stupid. So for me, I used to tell Nola when she would lie, I would say, you took away my ability to choose because it's a manipulation tactic for personal gain. But why the actual person is lying. So when you're on the receiving end of a lie, it feels different for the person that is actually telling the lie. So there are 2 different amygdala hijackings going on, or amygdala alerts that are taking place. So everybody's limbic system is being activated. Theirs is being activated because they're like, I feel good and I'm about to do this and fuck you, amygdala. And then your amygdala is like, hold up, wait a minute, what's happening over here? So there is this different exchange from a nervous system perspective in the temporal lobe and the limbic system, but it's different for both parties. And it doesn't, for you, it starts feeling like, but for them, when they keep doing it, they feel great. And that's why they keep doing it. Lola said, knowing that my reading is not greater than my listening in my amygdala, trying to shut it down to stop learning. By knowing that I can use different pathways, I feel better with it. Yes, ma'am. That is amazing. And that is awesome. And that is the objective, is that your brain is a whole, fully functioning, operating, self-contained system. And just because one area might be weaker than the other, now you can strengthen it through repetition. That's why I said I can't just keep talking about the principles of real leadership and neuromobility, because you aren't getting a total, complete brain workout. And it is called your morning mental workout. We have to build the entire brain. The herbal, I have a fully functioning brain that I can exercise it daily. Kevin, learn words that rhyme with orange. To answer your question, the herbal, and hopefully I'm saying that correctly because I'm old, and usernames that don't have people's government names, I potentially could be pronouncing wrong or putting emphasis on the wrong part of the word. I do have a book, it's Real Leaders Wear Pink. I do not recommend that you get that book. I am teaching you how to use the 74 principles of real leadership. You would benefit more after learning how to be personally accountable and then read it. It accompanies everything that I'm saying. The experts and the thought leaders, people trying to sell you something, have programmed you to believe that just buy my book and your whole life is going to change. I've only read a couple books that have changed my part of my thought patterns. It would be better and more beneficial for you if you came as often as possible to the lives at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am live 7 days a week. Today is my day 622 days of being live consecutively. Additionally, you can go to the website, sign up for a PA challenge, personal accountability challenge, because that's what I teach adults. Or you can go on Instagram and TikTok and sign up for the subscriptions. But one book is not going to get you to 860 trillion synaptic connections. This is day in and day out. Jessica said, I have a lot of things to work on, but not giving up when stuff gets hard or got hard. Okay? Again, the questions are, what did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what did you learn about your brain? And Nola is thinking. And I would, today's Real Leader Brain and PA for today are tutelage. And tutelage is instructions, teaching, and guidance. And what I say in both of those is that when you decide to follow someone, when you decide to take on someone else's information, whether it's instruction, teaching, or guidance, two questions that you need to ask yourself. Is this going to lead me to my best? And does this benefit my brain? Is this going to lead me to my best? And does this benefit my brain? And if the answer is yes, proceed. But if the answer is no, do not proceed. Kevin said, myself, I was about to call my kindergarten school until we got to the second word, the second rhyming word. Orange did me in today. That is being honest. Is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And Nola's question about how you're supposed to do that mental math, and Kevin as well. And all of you are being honest, because the person that's whose tutelage you're under is being honest as well. Lola said, I learned that giving up is not an option. That's right. Failure is not an option is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And also, quitters never win is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Because think of it this way, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to get to what Nola said. Let's look at the brain. I don't have a wired brain, but let's look at the brain momentarily. So every time you quit doing something, you no longer are activating any of those brain regions. So when you decide you're not going to do mental math anymore, you're not using that region of your brain. When you decide you're not going to do the work that it takes neurologically to fill in the blanks, you're shutting off access. When you don't do word scrambles and acronyms, that's the prefrontal cortex, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. You're shutting down those neural pathways. So think of it this way. We got a lot of construction here in Las Vegas. They're running the roads because 115 people are moving here a day. Don't you hate when you're traveling, especially if you're on a road trip and you have to take a detour, or you can't get through, or there's a dead end? Every time you quit, every time you stop, you are stopping that neural pathway from being reinforced and being created. And it's not going to happen. So you got all this blockage, all these blockages. And so then what happens is you just sit there in that temporal lobe right there, in the amygdala, in your limbic system, and now you're just here in your comfort cocoon. and you don't have access to that entire brain. You sitting there with them little bitty grams of amygdala making all these decisions. That's why you don't quit. That's why you don't stop. And failure is okay, because it just means I got to reinforce other regions. I have to put together the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. I have to do this more so that that neural pathway is strengthened and not weakened. That's why people can't think straight. That's why people keep saying dumb shit, because they're not accessing the left hemisphere, the language portion of their brain. People that say they don't like to read, I don't trust them, because basically what you're saying is I don't like to learn. So I'm not about to be sitting there because you don't have full use of your executive function of your brain. The things you say and do left hemispherically are not going to go well. So every time you fail, just keep going. Don't do anything without a strategy, and then just go back and look at the strategy, assess the strategy, and make the strategy better, because you have a whole entire brain that you have access to. And when you quit, and when you fail, and when you get deflated, when you let the left hemisphere of the amygdala literally ruminate over bad things that people said and shit you read and everything else, it just stops you, and it shrinks your ability to wire your brain to become your best. Let me make that a highlight. Okay, Nola said, I learned about myself certain mental math I struggle with, like double-digit multiplication and division. And then Nola said, I learned there are words that rhyme with orange. Okay, now the last question was, what did you learn about your brain? What did you learn about your brain? Lola said, I feel even if I get the answer wrong, I still try to use different parts. Practice makes perfect, and it takes time. Yes, ma'am. It is progress, not perfection in this instance, but I know what you're saying as far as practicing to get it. So that what happens is it becomes part of your working memory. It then gets stored in your hippocampus, and when you need to pull it out, the mental math, you go, oh, I got to do mental math. And now that synaptic connection is there for you to be able to use. The other thing that I would like to say as well, to my daughter's point of the mental math, because I took away 5 seconds, it made it more challenging to do. If you had had those other 5 seconds, Nola, you would have been able to process it faster. You would have been able to get the answer. If I had given you a minute, you would have been able to get the answer. So it wasn't necessarily how could you get the answer. It was actually the time constraint. That's what it was. And the reason why those time constraints are in place is because I've said, in your day-to-day operations, in your tasks that you have to do, problems that you have to solve, sometimes you don't get a week to sleep on it. Sometimes you don't get a night to sleep on it. Sometimes you got 25 seconds to make a decision, and that's what mental math does. You have 2 things that you have to decide on, one versus the other. One quick problem that you have to solve in order to move on. So it was actually the 25 seconds that was causing the issue, not the actual problem itself. That's what it was. It was the speed at which you can access this information. So it's one thing to have 4 to 7 things that you can hold in your brain, but when you have to assess things in real time, that becomes the hijacked amygdalaness of, whoo, this is a lot. I can't process this at the same time. So you actually strengthen that synaptic connection, that neural pathway, by solving problems within 25 seconds. That's the objective. So it doesn't matter what it is. Let me be able to solve this. Let me think of this word. Let me make this acronym, so that time makes it so that it's efficient and I can do it and I can do it and I can do it. And then when you have more time, it just becomes a better solution and a better strategy. But in the event that you got to quickly think of something, that's what the purpose of that second mental math was from a timing perspective, by taking those other 5. You think 5 seconds ain't a lot, but it actually is enough time to carry the 1 and add the 2. Nola said, I learned that things that I used to be good at, I'm not at because I am focused on knowing other things, so the brain dumped it. That's correct. So what happens is the hippocampus is where the long-term memory is stored, and it's a use it or lose it concept. If you haven't used it in a while, you're going to dump it. My personal opinion is that everything that we learned in elementary school needs to be reinforced once we get to high school, because when you're 13, you get your newly developed frontal lobe, and it takes you up until 25 for it to become fully functioning. So you've learned these things from K through 5, and then you start learning how to have a job, and all this other useless shit that you're not going to need. And then the thing that you need was from 8, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. None of us, when it was time to do the rhyming words or the math, said, you know what, 10th grade English, when I was reading Great Expectations, that's what helped me, because it didn't. It actually, it did not. It did not. The working memory, the things that your brain needed, that cognition, you had to go way back to elementary school in order for you to be able to do these things. That's why it's so important. Dr. Donna, Lola said, Dr. Donna, knowing that I have more parts of the brain to use is amazing. Yes, it is. And Kevin said, there are many doors in the brain. Every day we got to keep opening them. That is correct. There are many neural pathways. And that's my objective. Anybody else that wants to answer about what their brain learned today, go ahead. It's changed a lot, and it continues to change. And Lola, what they told you based upon your age is that you just need to do Sudoku. That's what you need to do, because you just got to do Sudoku. That's it. That's going to fix everything. Go do some puzzles, sit down with your peers and just go do some puzzles and some Sudoku and some chair yoga, and your brain is going to start fully functioning. They told you and Regina that. Okay, so we know that, no, the brain is plastic, it's malleable, and you got access to potentially 860 trillion synaptic connections. So Sudoku will just be one of those connections. The brain is an amazing, beautiful, beautiful organ. It's responsible for everything. And you, after you lead these lives every day, you need to feel empowered. Empower others is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And it should give you hope and just want to wake up in the morning, because I can do this. I just need to know neurologically what regions of my brain I need to use in order to make this happen. That's all you have to do. That's it. What regions do I need to connect to make that happen? Not who do I need to go finagle, not whose ass do I need to go kiss. None of that. Sit down with your 860 trillion, your 86 billion neurons, and create what it is that you need to use in order to get you to your best day in and day out. You have it all up here, all up here. You got a plethora of information. And now, because of the internet and phones and AI, you get to access this information day in and day out. You don't have to wait for an event to happen. You don't have to wait for some workshop or something to show up. It can just show up on your phone. Grok and ChatGPT are the AI sources that I use. Very informative. Gives me a lot of information right there, right now. It has been the best thing in order for me to give you the information as you have decided to be under my tutelage, which is instructions, teaching, and guidance, for the ability for you to learn how to use this amazing brain that didn't come with an owner's manual. I'm creating it every single day. What questions do you have for me before we part ways for today? Before I get out of here, I will be doing a lesson on synaptic connections as soon as I get all the information together and figure out, with the limitations of YouTube's background, how I can put it all in one graphic so that you can get it. That came compliments of Regina, who did some more extra research based upon a link that I sent her from my class. And that came to me like, if you can see that synaptic connection, it would make all the difference in the world, because some of you are visual learners. So do you have anything else for me before we go and have a fantastic Friday? And if not, I will. Okay. You all go off and enjoy your Friday. God, higher power, and the universe willing, I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirts. Have a brain-tastic day. Adios.